Because the way the lesson is built, it has something for us to look at ourselves, something for us spiritually. It has some history or some of our own history or how we look at things too. But the one thing that stuck with this is that get up, the fight is not over. So in the military, and I was looking at these things where they look at how they fight and how the military fights, like the USA, how they get it. So what do? They do a draft. So the last time there was a draft was in 1973. And the U.S. forced men into the draft, right? So that's a force. You get drafted, your age, you go in. But how we got called for this fight is through Yeshua, right? Because he chooses us. So when we elected to come in and join, we chose this path to come and be his glory, be his servants. It takes patience, diligence, strength, a lot of things. We're going to go through the lesson that it takes to stay with it. And the military knows this. Like if you look at the way the military is set up, they know it takes discipline. They know it takes mind. And that's in this lesson too. But where we're at is a spiritual warfare, right? This is the part we get to it. So the title of the lesson is Get Up, the Fight is Not Over. So there will be days. And there's going to be things that are going to happen. That are going to have some trying times. It's going to come. And you're going to see in the lesson where not like other men have gone through that, are we going through now? And why we're here, why the church is here, and the things that happen with our families and how different it is, and start to fully understand what's required to be a soldier. And some of us are in different walks right now, trying to get it. We're in different walks, so that's okay. But if you're practicing the righteous acts, you start to learn and start to see where you fit in. But then all the doubt and all the things that Satan puts in your mind and has it, the battle, and we were talking about this just a few minutes ago, how that mind battle started way in the beginning, Adam and Eve, way back then. So don't think you're like anything new is being done or any fights that you have that's there, it's new, it's not. But we also see that who's our guide, who's our teacher, and who's our master teacher is Yeshua. So we take it from there. We get our guidance from him, and we learn. So when you feel that in your mind, or and we'll get it in the introduction of this and a commentary. When you're feeling weak and you're feeling like I don't know about this, I don't know if I could. Just know that when we stepped into this fight, you didn't understand what was going on, and it's a thing to learn. Because it says this, there's something else too. The military understands this too. They said this is a staff sergeant just said this because everybody wants to be a Spartan, but nobody wants to do the sacrifice and the discipline to be a Spartan. It takes work. And I think like this too. We're looking at the Spartans, we think of it as just men, right? That's how it was, but it wasn't like that. Only the men. And we went into this. I think it was in the women's meeting, and we were out there tabernacles to let them know, the sisters know, like, the men that come, a lot of it has to do with how the sisters raise them. A lot of it. Now, when they get to a certain age, the men come in and they fit into where the men are at, but the sisters have a part to do. And then, so what does that mean? Is it just the men? It's the whole church. This whole church has the part to do, to become a Spartan, to become a soldier, the choir, the teaching ministry, the street speaking. Everything that's a part of it is just a part of it. Our flesh wants us to think like that's not, I just need to do this part. We're in spiritual warfare. So, get up, the fight is over. This is a lesson that, looking at it, there's a lot of places we can go that the scriptures take us, but we're maintaining the frame where the elders are keeping it to know, like, all the places that we want to go in our mind, and we're going to get it in the introduction, sir. Let's just go ahead and get it, and we'll take it from there.
Get up, the fight is not over. Many in the trials they may face get weak and think just going back to their former life. They eventually may find excuses to justify their actions, but the Father accepts no excuses. We must look to our forefathers and the many things they endured to keep our faith strong in these last days, where temptation and wickedness is at its highest point since the creation of the world.
So many in the trials they may face get weak and think. And remember when we're going through this lesson, because that's where the attacks always were in our mind, and there's a lot here to, when you start reading the precepts of what's going on, is there. So you guard yourself. You guard yourself to the precepts. So if you want to think how we feel, we don't have a true guard. We don't have that going on. But we're being shown by Yeshua how to do it. But if you want to do it on your own, we know how that operates. You want to be on your own understanding how to go through this process of what we're going through, be prepared for everything else. And Deacon went into it, how we chastise, we're like, no, that's not how it goes. You know, there's parts in here too to understand the chastisement that comes too, because we said we're going to do it. So, you know, when the Most High says he's going to weaken your ignorance, he's going to. But now that we're in, he's going to be like, no, I'm going to help you. For the ignorance time, all that stuff, that it will go away. But practicing and coming and keeping what Yeshua is, what is this? So it says, many of the trials they may face get weak and think of just going back to their former life, because it's like, I could be okay. Like, there was nothing going on differently that was going on now. You know, I still got to pay bills, got all these things in my mind. I still got to get things to happen, and all these other things that are happening. And while we just stood at the beginning of this service today in a cadence. So if you look at the Ten Commandments, and you look at Matthew, we stood and told them, this is what we will do. We just said it. But it's a thing to learn, because we're reading it, right? We read the Ten Commandments, read Matthew chapter 5, all those parts that are in there to learn. And we go through it in the process. So when the chastisement comes and all these parts come, he's filtering us through all this to learn. That discipline, the sacrifice that it takes, that's what it is. So that former life is going to be the So then what does it come down to? Because it says they eventually may find excuses to justify their actions, but the Father accepts no excuses. So because we're looking at it from a physical form, not a temporal form, the spiritual form that is of our Father, you worship in spirit and truth. Yeah. Your flesh is like, oh, we'll be good with that. Yeah, that's fine, it can happen. You know, we'll be like that. But it says we must look to our forefathers and the many things they endured. So obviously, they went through the same things we did, meant to, the same choices, the same, and there's history, and we go through all the parts of the ones that left, whether they were disciples, whether they were from the beginning, coming out of Exodus, all that part, it's there. It's there. But the ones that were successful, and we won't get completely into it because it's to make that a longer lesson, but chapter 11, we know that some were, in Hebrews, were given the accolades of what they had to go through and where they were at. Because we must look to our forefathers and the many things they endured to keep our faith strong. So if we're not doing that, if we believe how we operate to keep our faith strong, we're not going to be in this fight. We can't contend. We can't contend. So this spiritual contending that we have to have is coming through this lesson. And more. All the other parts that come with it. But this lesson is driven to understand, like, get that point across. In these last days, where temptation and wickedness, both of them, at its highest point since the creation of the world. So, everybody here, and you look at things like that, where this gets taught a lot, well, you're chosen to do these things. Sometimes it takes more than that chastising to let you know where you're at. That you really were chosen for this. What do you mean by that? Everybody remember that, and this is part of the walk to start to understand this too. The Most High didn't choose no weak person in this room. Nobody in this room is weak. That's why you're here. Because you're soldiers, right? So you're not going to be here and be some weak spirited person. Can you develop into being better? Yeah, that's what we go through in the spirit. That's what we grow. When men go to the military, they're not the strongest. They're not the fit. They're not the fittest ones. But they go through and they go through their training that takes them to that and gets them to that level where they need to be. And that's just what it is. But this is spiritual, the level that's beyond us. So the military understands this, that it takes time to grow. And obviously, we, Israel as a whole, didn't get it. That's why Yeshua had to come off his throne from on top to be like, all right, let me straighten this out. So, what is another thing that goes with this? So, being young. It says, what is the typical thing to say? Well, they're young. She's young or he's young. Give them some, have patience with them, work with them, you know. So that's like a worldly saying that's always said. And you're looking at them like, I don't understand, they're just still too young. Or he don't understand. That's how our faith is. You're young in the faith, and you're young in your walk, and don't have an issue with that. It's going to be like that. You got to practice and come in and keep practicing this fight that we're in, this spiritual warfare that we're in. And don't let anything, we're going to get into it now in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. We're going to go to Hebrews chapter 12, starting at verse 1. But this fight, we're not without, because he said he would be with us until the end. And when Art was talking about, the crowns that will be passed out, and Yeshua is there, he's going to be standing above everybody, passing out crowns and having that time there. And that's where your faith has to be. You're going to grow to understand that that's a real deal situation. All the other things that are there in this world that they talk about, the heavens and how that's built and all that, you're going to just be happy to be there. Like, I know that there's a lot of description. Again, we were talking about that before, about how the heavens are described and the gold streets and all these things, the doors, and how fantastic it is. But that's something just so we can understand, because we have this temporal part of our thought process right here, because the heavens are beyond us. It's just faith, and it grows. It's just a normal thing. Well, let's get it. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. Start there, sir.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doeth so easily beset us. Let us run with patience the race that is set before us.
And so, those witnesses that we're talking about, as in chapter 11, those are the people that already succeeded, that we could read about them. That's where he's getting into in chapter 12, in the beginning. But it says this, because when he's making this description about a runner, if you're running and you got to run with speed and pace, do you want to run with keys in your pocket? Do you want to run with a bag on your pocket? Do you want to run with any extra on your body? Those things that we carry, anger, bad thoughts, anything like that is a weight. And it goes into it, and it's a sin. So we could actually be, without contemplating all these other things, in this run that we have to race, that we have to be in. What does it take? It says, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us. So it don't take a lot to get us to slow down. It don't take a lot for us, our mind, to go somewhere else. It does not. It does not. Does it mean that you can't have fun? Oh man, the Most High, I can't do nothing. No. He's just a jealous God. He wants to be, know where we're at. Like, don't tell me you love me and I'm not on your mind. Because when you love somebody really, really much, it is on your mind. But that takes time to grow through the Most High too, whether it's your daughter, your family members, your parents. Like, you just feel them. You just like, man, you miss them. We're not around them. When we're not here at the Shabbat, when you come back in, you haven't been around each other so long, start to understand that too. It's like, man, I feel like haven't been around a long time. It just becomes that way. It happens that way. But it says, what does so easily beset us, let us run with patience the race that is set before us. So yeah, that patience is powerful. But let's keep going. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, sir, and we can take it all the way to 8.
Looking unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of the Most High. And consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be weary and faint in your minds. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. For ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Most High, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Most High loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof are all partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons.
So, looking unto Yeshua, verse 2, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, the author and finisher of our faith. So if we feel our way, how we think our faith is going to be built, that's not what the word's saying. That's not what we're being told. How we feel our faith should be built, because Yeshua is the author and finisher of it. So there's a lot to understand. So always the mind, all our process and our thoughts, and it takes time. And we were talking about how length of days does help, but how also the Most High is blessed some young to get a lot of faith and have other parts that need to be worked on too at the same time. So it's something else how we'll have young men come into this body or young sisters come in the body, and it's like they understand they have a faith already, but there's also other parts to grow, because it takes more. It's the body of this church, so it takes more. It takes that to get it. So yeah, look at Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him, because he was in heaven next to the Most High, endured the cross, despising the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne. So Yeshua's classroom is where we're in. I think we mentioned that before during the week when the deacon was going through the understanding of the chastisement that we're going to go through. It's his mind, the Most High's mind. So the wisdom, all the understanding, we're getting it through Yeshua. And that faith in our mind that's battling us to be like, man, is really there? There's really something else here. There's like a glory that's there, a feeling that's going to be there. Be patient. It already says it. Be patient in attaining this, and be patient because we're talking about the creator of all, that created everything. It is nothing with this world temporal or nothing physical, so it takes time. It says, for consider him, 12:3, that endured such contradictions and sins against himself, lest you be weary and faint in your own mind. So, in other words, here's an example, but we're going to go through it. We had the teacher, so let's consider him. He endured such contradictions and sins against himself, lest you be worried and faint in your own minds, because we have to think and be in the mind of Christ. That's how, because he's the master teacher. But if you want to be in our own minds, we're going to faint, because we get to look at it, because he's going to know he's right there next to us, holding us. He says, and then this part, you have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin, and you have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children, which is Job. He went through a lot, right? My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. It's a teacher. It's just a teaching time. It's a teaching moment. All these little things are happening in our life. That's our purpose here. Like you really start to understand your purpose in life. And here it is when we were singing, for thou art rich, we are loved. We are loved of the Most High, because we've been given this understanding for the whole world. That's the light we're supposed to be. And we're going to just learn how to do it. That's that attaining the kingdom, like you did your job correctly, thou faithful servant, or that's there. That's what it is. But again, a lot of the world's pushing at us to get all these other thoughts and ideas, just weighing us down, to have all these things. I'm going to worry about this, going to worry about that. And Yeshua told us there's enough evil today for today. Like, why are you going there? Why is your mind taking you there? Why are you worrying? There's enough today to deal with. So Hebrews 12:6, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth and scourges every son whom he receives. So why wouldn't we? Like if I was, being a parent, you have to have discipline. To be a parent, you have to stop him. Be a parent, you can't go out in that street. You got to watch him. All these things that are there, but this is spiritual, because he's getting us to understand, do my will and come to the kingdom of heaven. So if we would just be before, where you could just go in your cave and praise the Most High and love him and all that stuff like that, and be like Enoch and go away from people and don't have to deal with anybody, that's not our job. Nobody here has that. Nobody got it. That's not for us. The generation, because we're talking in scripture about generation, our generation is to show the world, so that nobody will have an excuse not to have it. So it's just building up, right? And ye endured chastening, because the Most High deal with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? So of course you're going to get it. But if ye be without chastisement, verse 8, we're all partakers, because we all need to learn. But if without it, it says you are bastards and not sons. Without a father, without anybody there. But it's a choice. It's a choice that's made. And it is hard. We're like, man, the way the world teaches the Most High is like, he's a loving God who loves everybody. Yes, he does. That's why the chastisement is there. That's why it's there. So it isn't that part of it. They don't want to hear that. oh my God, what is this? And then the elder said this recently, and somebody was posing a question to him, like, man, and I'm kind of mad at the Most High. Because I'm praying to him, and, I haven't, and the elder asked him, why, how can you be mad at the Most High? Because he wanted his will to be done, the guy that was on the line, and not the Most High's will. But this is the Most High's will. And that's another thing that comes into our mind, because the world, we want everything now, and I can attain this now, not knowing that the Most High is like, no. You got all these other things you need to take care of that you don't see, but you want that. Or his children, well, I want to have that, I want to eat my, dessert right now. It's, no, there's a process here to learn everything. So there's a process to everything. Take your meal, sit down, do your chores, there's all these processes that have to go before you maybe get what you want, maybe get what we want. And then there'll be a day when you get something, you're like, man, Father, how did I get this? Most I get this. But it comes all through it. Chastity comes with it, man. And Deacon went through a lot to get it the last Bible study, so we can take a look at that lesson, and it's probably recorded, and I think you can take a look at it again. But let's keep moving on. Let's get his commentary.
There is no greater example of a man that endured all the evil the world could dish out and still fulfilled the Father's will than Christ. Read his story diligently, as he gave us the keys to survive these last days. We go through little arguments amongst brethren and give up on the mission. Which one of us had to endure the torture and rejection that Yeshua did?
Because nobody's going through that right now. But harsher times are coming. But how do you not turn on the Most High? How do you make that decision when the harsher times come if you're not built up spiritually? That's all it is. And obviously it takes patience. And obviously it takes a church to build children to be ready for it, to build men to be ready for it, to build women to be ready for it, for all of us to be ready for it. It takes it all as one, because that's how Yeshua set it up. That's just how it goes. So, but we have to look at him, because he has the path. There is no small little thing in our life, any argument. It says any arguments that will hold us back from the mission, any thoughts that we feel, because that's our flesh rising up. I think we should do this. Why can't we do that? And why aren't we making this move? Or why aren't we here yet? And it's hey, if we're gonna pray, thy will be done, how can that fit with the Most High's will? There's nothing wrong with ideas. There's nothing wrong with progression that is there, that is that. But it's his will. A lot of the excuses that come is like, I don't like the way, the things are going, so, I'm just going to step back and have, think about things a little bit and, work on myself. Where is that at in the scriptures that you work on yourself by yourself? Is the church, is not forsaken assembly, there's that. So, diligently, we have Yeshua to work through. So let's keep going on what he talks about us and our faith, because that's what it's going to take, a growing faith. A growing faith, and I know being older, or you have to look at your life, you get to do all things, but I think, like I said before, you look at we were just talking about Josiah, he was a young king, and we just read that he gave all his heart, mind, and soul to the Father. It's doable. It's doable. Let's get it. Romans chapter 5, verse 1.
We're in the book of Romans, chapter 5, verse 1. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with the Most High through our Lord Yeshua Christ, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace, wherein we stand, and rejoice in hope of the glory of the Most High. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of the Most High is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, which is given unto us. For when we were yet without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly.
So, verse 1. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with the Most High through our Lord Yeshua Christ. So however we think peace looks, however we think peace in our house is supposed to look, however we think peace at work is supposed to look, and Yeshua is not there, that's not peace. It don't have nothing to do with that. Because our faith is to understand, well, I'm at work, this is how Yeshua said peace is applied. Well, in my house, this is how peace is applied. Not how we feel peace is going to be like, oh, I'm just going to step to the side, I don't have to deal with them. I'm going to go make a move. At work, when there's hard things to do, people just call off. Somebody else is going to take care of them. I don't have to deal with it because I have to think or I have to do something that I want to do. Attaining peace it's going to be things that we don't want to do. What did Yeshua have to go through? That's what it takes. That's the peace we got to have. That's the work it takes. That's a sacrifice and the discipline it takes. But we want to have peace, it's going to come through Yeshua. It isn't just that, because this is this worldly temporal situation we're in, and we're working, we're letting ourselves be that vessel for it to come through, because that's how we're operating. This is by whom also we have access by faith, Yeshua, into this grace, wherein we stand, because the access of faith is to Yeshua, and rejoice in hope. And how much hope and what do we have? So hope is, what is that? That's that mustard seed. It just takes a little bit. He's going to give the increase. Everything that hope that we learn, he'll get an increase. But it becomes like more and more, you lean to him more, you get closer to him more, and all your thoughts and all the process will come unto this is of the glory of the Most High, so that it's his glory. It's his glory when you go through things at work. His glory when you have patience when somebody's driving out of order or cutting you off, you don't brake checking you or anything like that. Or it's his order of patience when you're in the store and someone wants to jump in front of you and you're not raised up at it because you don't know what's going on. It's his glory. Those are the things that are small, the mustard seed small, and it's great because you're growing. Not into the chastening or the pruning part that comes too, because when you're growing, when you start growing, there's going to be some more chastening and pruning so you can have fruits. That comes too. It says that not only, but we glory in tribulations. Why? Knowing that tribulation working patience. Tribulation is a pruning, but then it becomes a fruit. Where's that fruit? Patience. Becomes greater. The things you're going to go through becomes that patience with somebody in your family that doesn't understand, somebody at your neighbor that has a way of how things are, and you just have to operate in a way. If you're looking for a way how to deal with your neighbor or how to deal with your family, and not looking how Yeshua had how it's laid out for patience, okay, be ready for what comes with it. That's all. And it says, and patience, verse 4. Worketh patience, verse 3, and patience experience, and experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed. So, that hope that maketh not ashamed, you yourself know your faith, because you had to grow all this to your faith to understand, like, man, I know what I have to go through. I know I got to take this. Other people look at you, man, you weak. He's just a soft-talking person, or she don't really assert herself, or he don't really assert himself. He just doesn't. I'm not ashamed of that. I know what the Most High, asked me to do. Yeshua gave me the experience to do that. I don't have to be like that, because he's going to fight your battle for you. And you have to pray for them when those things happen. Because the Most High's love is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, which is given unto us. So we got to come closer to the Most High, to him. For when we were yet without strength, and in the Greek, this strength means when we were sick, when we were feeble. In other words, we had no understanding. We were feeble. Our faith was feeble. Our understanding was feeble. We were weak-minded. Christ had to die. In due time, Christ died for the godly, so we had to come down and make that happen for us so we could get it clear. Because we were all there. And we may have had some understanding and not even know how weak we are. And even if we're having that mustard seed faith now, you're not weak. You've grown past that. So this tribulation is coming, yeah. There's a lot of this lesson to think about. There's a lot of pieces in there it's given. But obviously, the number one is the author of our faith is Yeshua. So let's see what the commentary has on it.
Learning to be patient in all trials will catapult your faith in the Most High to new levels. We must learn that this truth isn't like going to a fast food restaurant. You must take great care of preparing yourself with spiritual food so that when the trials come, they will not overtake you, but make you stronger.
And that's the way everybody wants to think about it, like it's that easy just to do. Going to a restaurant, getting served, getting taken care of. But the Messiah has separated us to be His. He separated us to have different thoughts, His ways. Vessels are working through Him. That's a lot. That alone will make you go. We're going to go through a lot because of that. Because that's what happened when you're shy. People are going to look at you like, well, they just roll over dumb all the time, or whatever. And it's not that. You'll be at your situation. It is not that. And just know that I want the kingdom. Like your faith is going to grow. It's like I can't have that spirit with you because I believe there's somewhere else for me to be. I know you're operating out of order, but I'm going to do everything I can to try to help you, but I don't need to get raised up. I don't need to have no thoughts like that on you. The things that are coming. And then, is it just them only that the Most High, because you're passing the test from the Most High? You think like it's that person. Yeah, there could be a spirit on them, and you think the Father knows about all the things that are happening around us, that He loves us? He knows. He knows there's going to be spirits there. He knows we're going to go through things. He knows there's going to be temptations of wickedness. He knows. But we're not without. We're definitely not without. So let's move on to 2 Timothy chapter 3, starting at verse 5.
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. But having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, for such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses, and led captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lusts, ever learning, and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. But that also proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. But thou hast fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long-suffering, charity, patience, persecution, affliction, which came unto me at Antioch, at Iconium, at Lystra, what persecutions I endured. But out of them all the Most High delivered me.
So, in the beginning of this chapter, it's talking about the perilous times, right? That's why it went into having a form of godliness. So it's talking about men or women that believe their ways and their unnatural ways or whatever it is against the Most High is how to serve Him. And let's just get it, sir. Let's go. Let's start from the beginning. Just get 1 through 4. 2 Timothy chapter 3. Verses 1 through 4. So we can see what it led into, these perilous times that we're in, because it says high wickedness and filthiness that's going to be here. And, it's catching up. We're catching up in verse 5, but let's just look at what Paul was telling to Timothy was going on. Let's get it, sir.
2 Timothy chapter 3, starting at verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. And
everything he just read, the people that are acting like that will believe, because the world has the flesh part of it in, that's godly, and that's okay, and that you're wrong. That's how it comes down. Because they look at it like, hey, you look at that Bible too much. You look at the scriptures too much. What's wrong with you? Like, what? I'm good with where I'm at. And I've had discussions where people have left the church, and I'm trying to explain to them, like, hey man, they're like, yeah, I'm good. They literally said it. He goes, I'm good. I understand what you're telling me, bro. I'm good. Because the world's there. And my thinking and my process is how I want to operate in this world. And all these names and all these people that were named out there operated as how they thought the world was supposed to be and how we were supposed to be set up for the world. And that's not how the Father set up. That's the whole thing with why we're at where we're at. We had a path. We had an understanding. We were directly connected from the beginning to Him. And that's all we're doing is coming back to Him. That's all it is. So now we can go to 2 Timothy 3:5. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof from such turn away. So, believe me, in this church, there's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be some videos. It's going to be in this church, because heresy's got to come through this church too. So there's going to be people in here that'll be like, well, what do you think about this video? What do you think about he said it's going to come? It's going to come. It just said it. Because the last days is coming. That's where we're at. It's going to come. What do you think about this video? Look at this, brother. And come with a good move like that, because Satan's, when you come to his side, he's smooth with the words, smooth ways of doing it. Because the broad truth of understanding. Why do you think Elder Ramar goes into the way he breaks everything down? Because that's teaching you to be a better thinker. That's teaching you to understand the truth of the world. That's why the elder goes that level and shows things in a path in a way that our mind is not designed out. The world has designed us to think differently. And that's why elder does that. Why do you think elder goes into those understandings and pages and understandings in here? Look at this one. Look how he's thinking like there. And how elder shows that they're not even documenting anything or can show proof about what they're saying. They're just, this is how I feel. That's why. That's why the elders bring things like that. That's why the understanding comes like that. So, where are we at? It says, for of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captives to leave unaware, or laden with sins led away, because they're, if you have emotional, because it's talking about emotion, we talked about this before, so if you have an emotional sense, if your emotions are tied into what you're trying to do with this, with the Most High, it's going to be hard to be clear to the Father, because your emotional side is taking you in that. And that's just where you're at. I mean, you have to have it. And it's a work for a sister to understand. That's all it is. So, but you have, like I said earlier today, like you have great strengths. Like you're going to bring forth the leaders and everybody else in this church. Whether you're older sister or whatever, everybody has to work. It don't even matter. But once you contain that and you have that, the church is going to grow stronger. It's a glory. So, what else is happening here? 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 7. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Why? Because their understanding is the knowledge of the truth. Not through the author and finisher, it's their understanding. You can read all day and understand and know the precepts and have all that down there, and then still be sideways. And like Bishop always says, you can set up a YouTube page and just go and do your own thing and be out there, and in the backdrop he might be blurred, or he might be in some backdrop or whatever. Sometimes they don't even blur the backdrop. They're in a hotel room or some basement or some basic situation, and looking at those men because their works. But if they have fruits, if their works are true, the Most High is going to increase it. We know that. It's going to happen. He says, now as Jannes and Jambres, 2 Timothy 3:8, as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the truth. So those were those two magi Egyptian priests that were there that tried to stand against Moses. That's what he's talking about. And how they thought their faith to their God was correct. Like they had but it was just some magic potion and stuff like that. And Moses took care of that. But it says, so he made an example. So Paul's making an example because they knew there's a history of how why would Paul put that in there? Because they have a history to understand. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 9. But they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifested unto all men, as also theirs was. So he's talking about Jannes and Jambres, how their folly was found. That's what he's talking about. So wait, be patient. You're going to see it. It's going to show. The Most High is going to show you, like, don't be so hasty with your spirit. Be patient, and your patience possesses your souls. Is what it takes. That. So just wait. These things are going to happen. They're going to make it look good. It's going to look like it's something like all this, but it says, "For their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was." It's going to come. It's going to be shown. And then Paul again, "But thou hast fully known my doctrine." 2 Timothy 3, verse 10, chapter 3, verse 10. "But thou hast known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long suffering, charity, patience, persecutions, afflictions, which came unto me at Antioch, at Iconium, at Lystra, what persecutions I endured, but of them all the Most High delivered me." So yeah, know that that's going to happen. It's going to happen. He says in verse 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 7, "Yea, and all that will live godly in Christ Yeshua shall suffer persecution." All that live godly in Christ Yeshua shall suffer persecutions. It just comes with it. You know, we always go to Sirach chapter 2. Prepare thy soul. When temptation comes, everything that comes, it just comes with it. But are you by yourself? Are you there by yourself? You can be. We can be operating all these things by ourselves, but Yeshua's like, ready to help you here. I got my mind here, I got my thoughts here to try to help you, but what do we want to do? I just gotta stay away from the church because I got things going on. I'm just going through some things and I can't be there. I don't even know that sister real good. I don't know that brother real good, so I can't really help her. I ain't gonna call them. You know, the deacons are always busy. The deacons, we've accepted our work. We're full-time for the body. We've accepted it. You're going to accept it too. Some of you more, but some of you have less to understand. Like, being accepted to be servants to the Most High. Do we work? Yes. But don't let that spirit or that part of that world try to tell you, "Oh, they're too busy. We won't bother them to talk to them." No. You know what the problem is? If we don't get calls, we know people are keeping things out because we're all going through things. There's no way we can't be getting calls during the week and nothing's going on. No way. No way. That's just trying to figure it out yourself or not, looking to get some counsel so you can show the priest says, "This is what you got to do. This is where you're at." There's persecution to come, but there's a way to get through it. Let's get this commentary, sir.
"There are many which claim godliness, but their wicked works are eventually made plain for all to see. We must not be hypocrites, but understand that afflictions will come and be like our former men of the Most High, who went even unto death to finish the road placed before them by the Father."
Fine, so we must not be hypocrites, or, in the Greek, actors. We become actors, and that will hold us back because we're not being real, we're not being truthful. But understand that afflictions will come and be like our former men of the Most High, who went even unto death to finish the road placed before them by the Father. So, again, we read it in the law, we read it in the Beatitudes about what we've accepted to become to do the Father, and those are practicing, right? So growing to understand the spiritual part that comes with it, and that's okay. The Most High knows that. He knows it. It's okay. Let's move on. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 8. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 8, and see what else Paul's breaking into Timothy about.
1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 8. "In having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. But thou, O man of the Most High, flee these things. Follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness. Fight the good fight of faith. Lay hold on eternal life, whereunto thou art also called, and hast professed a good profession before many witnesses.
So, what is he getting to? So, 1 Timothy 6:8, have your food and raiment, let us be therewith content. So what is he getting to? The root of evil, right? This is what Paul is talking about in verse 9. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare. It is gonna be this. And into many foolish and hurtful lusts. And what is he talking about? These things we really don't need. You really don't need those things for your mind and your soul. But let's keep going on, right? Which drown men in destruction and perdition. So, verse 10. For the love of money, not money, it says the love of money. Is money evil? No. It's the love of money, what it does and how we want things, because that's where that lust and that foolish thinking, that's what it is. The Most High said we can't have anything here while we're here doing this temporal work for Him? No. But if you're about loving money, and that's not your thing, you want to crack that bank account, you think about things and all these other things you want, that's where you want to be, your mind is thought, yeah? Well, this is what it says. Foolish and hurtful lust, drown men in destruction and perdition. Verse 9. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, because that has nothing to do with faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows, because you're so busy trying to chase that situation. Now you got all these things going on in your life. A lot. Doesn't say, most I never said we never can have anything. No. But if we're like, man, I got this, now I need to do is get this. Now I got this plan to do this. I get a bigger house, if I have this, you know what? If it's the Most High's will, those things can happen. But you just pray, put it in His hands, get up that next day, operate. Whatever I have to work on today, let me operate. Because the Most High may be wanting to give you that, but He can't give you that because the faith isn't good enough. You haven't grown past the things that He wants us to grow by. We want to be on some prosperity thing. The Most High has prosperity with that. His prosperity is spiritual. It's a kingdom. But that's not how the world will have you understand it. Us understand it like that, because it's a learning thing. Like, you just got to look at it like that. Job went through a lot of things and was without and then increased. You know, everybody has issues that happen. The furnace is out, the roof is leaking, vehicle problems, something happened in the family. It's all going to come. And you know what? That's something how in different families, there's always a different situation that comes through. It's going to happen. But man, when you come through and you know that there's something greater, like it's His will, why the reasoning, because you want to understand what the Most High's will is and why He did things. He already told us, my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways. So you can think about it, but now we're just wasting time because it's His will. Ask Him when we get there. Ask Him when the crown's being put on you. Ask your shot. It's like, oh, I got. But by that time, whatever it is, you already built past the point of like, it don't even matter. You'll be past that. A lot of people like, you know, when you see your shot, you got a question to ask them. When you see your shot, you ain't gonna have no questions. You already passed it. But that just takes time to understand too, to develop, to get to there too. But he says, but thou, O man of the Most High, flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness. Fight the good fight of faith. Lay hold on eternal life, whereunto thou art also called, and hast professed a good profession before many witnesses. Going back to those that are already before us, you know, that have done it already, and they're watching, you know. But it says, fight the good fight of faith. So there's a fight involved for this faith, and what is it? He just gave us what it takes. Godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness. That's the fight of a good fight of faith. And we need to take one piece at a time and work with it. And or wake up that day and be like, hey man, I know when we wake up, we're like, please help me. We're praying, please help me to do your will, Father, today, no matter what may be. Please help me. And then when things happen, something busts down or something happens in your house, Guess what? What was his will? Well, was his will for me to go through this today? Yes, it was. How are you going to go through it, son? Because all this is going to go away, and I'm going to be here, and now what? But again, grow. It takes growth to that. And whatever the problem may be, health, mechanical in your house, whatever it is, it's going to be something every day. Because Yeshua even said it, there's enough evil in the day for today. So don't think you're not going to battle me evil. It don't have to come from anybody. It could be your own wicked thoughts, or it could be some spirit that's trying to jump on you. Just recognize it. Just recognize it. It's just this battle. So let's see the commentary from the elders.
This is a fight for salvation, and you must endure. There are many that when thinking on temporary things, whether emotional or physical, fall from the faith and are bound for hellfire. A man or woman of the Most High must flee such superficial things to see eternal life.
It's something to I don't know. I just look at it like this. Some people come to the Shabbat and think that that's what it takes to please the Most High. That is a practice of a righteous act that begins it. But the salvation that it takes, there's a fight involved here for salvation, and you must endure. So when you keep coming to the Shabbat, there's more going to come. During the week, there's more going to come because you're getting built up to endure. We're getting built up with things that are not going to happen as a church, as a body. We're being built up. I keep the Shabbat every Shabbat. I go, okay. But if that's what you think in your mind is what's completing everything for the Father, there's more. But keep coming. It's going to happen. It'll become a lot clearer because it's a fight. And what is all the fight is at? It's in our mind, where it's all mental. It's a decision. It's a discipline. It's a discipline. It's a great thing. And then patience comes with all that. It says there are many that when thinking on temporary things, whether emotional or physical, fall from the faith. When thinking, you're already wasting your time on temporary things, whether emotional or physical, fall from the faith, are bound for hellfire. So you're opening up the door for Satan to come in and tempt you and have all the way. It says a man or woman of the Most High must flee such superficial things to see eternal life. Now we just read and understood, like, it's not that you can't have anything. It's not that at all. But those things are going to be gone anyway, no matter what it is. Everything's going to be gone. Everything has a timestamp on it. We have a timestamp that the Most High has to the end. It just does. So let's move on. Luke chapter 9, verse 59. Luke chapter 9, verse 59.
We're in the book of Luke chapter 9, verse 59.
Hold on a second. So what we're going to read is this, it's this price that we agreed to do for the Most High, the cost that we have, that we accepted in our baptism when we come to Him, like learning what it takes to be a disciple, learning what it takes to be a servant, to have His will. A lot of us do travel a long ways to come and be here on the Shabbat, but that path, the mentalness is this, because I know in the beginning of this church how a lot of people were carpooling, a lot of people were coming, a lot of people were having hard ways to get here, and then things changed. I was paying attention. I was like, okay, now Most High is making ways, making different things for the body of the church, because as a whole, as a church, it's helping everybody. It's helping everybody, but learning the cost of what we have of our soul. There's a cost that we've given to the Father. We accept it. Again, when we stand in our cadence, when we stand to the Most High, the Ten Commandments, and we have, the Beatitudes, we understand that we're standing as soldiers in this fight. So let's look at this, what's going on here in Luke chapter 9, verse 59.
Verse 59.
Oh, can you get it? Let's get it, let's start at 57. I want to get it in 57. So let's start there. Let's read it there, son.
Luke 9 and 57. And it came to pass that as they went in the way, A certain man said unto him, Lord, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. And Yeshua said unto him, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man had nowhere to lay his head. And he said unto another, Follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Yeshua said unto him, Let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of the Most High. And another also said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go bid them farewell, which are at home at my house. And Yeshua said unto him, No man, having put in his hand to the plow, and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of the Most High.
So, this first man, because he was overhearing, right? So he overheard. That's why I wanted to get back, and so you could understand how he heard what Yeshua said. He said, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. And then this man's overhearing this, and he said to another, Follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me to go and bury my father. So, if he's burying his father, if he was going to bury his father would be dead. And back then in the history of us is Hebrews, when somebody passed away, we were getting that process done right away. We won't be looking for a time that was convenient for us. That was just something how we operated when we buried somebody. We were mourning, we were going through a lot. Now this man that's saying these things, he says, Lord, suffer me to go and bury my father. Because if his father had passed already, he would have gone through a process already. Or if he would have had faith, he would have been asking Yeshua something about his father and bringing him to his household or operating a different way. But Yeshua said unto him, Let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of the Most High. Because life is the kingdom of the Most High. There's life there. And if the dead are going to bury the dead, so how you think in your process as a dead person, how you think that's there, that's your life. You will be dead. Well, he's offering his kingdom. He says, but go thou and preach the kingdom of the Most High. That's life. That's what's there. And the brother didn't want to, we find these ways of making excuses about how to serve the Father and thoughts of how we do it. Does the scripture say don't honor your mother and father? No. Honor them. There's that there. There's not, he's saying that. Luke 9:61. And another said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me go first, bid them farewell, which are at home in my house. And Yeshua said unto him, No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of the Most High. So how, there's this different commentaries that said about this, but if you're already working and plowing and working for the Most High and you're looking back, there's a narrow path that we're supposed to be on, right? So if you're on a narrow path and you're looking back, how are you proceeding? You don't even know where you're going. No man, having put his hand to the plow, looking back, is fit for the kingdom of heaven, because you're not going to make it to the kingdom of heaven because you're looking back. What happened with Lot's wife? Yes. It says looking back, like Lot's wife, you're always supposed to be looking forward in faith, going back to faith, right? But if you want to look back and look at the world that's there, it's there. The soul is hell and damnation, and the path that you're supposed to be on, that takes work, that takes discipline, is slacking. No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of heaven. What time is it? How much time I got before I have to, whatever it may be. I got other things that need to get done, all these other things like that. And our thoughts are putting ourselves in a situation where it's damnation, looking back. I could be in the academy, or I could Netflix out and watch something on Sunday and have these other things on that I want to get into. It's decisions, it's discipline. Is Netflix always going to be there? Yeah, it's a replay. The world's going to always offer Netflix and all that. It's always going to be there. But the elders and what's coming, they're going to block it out. The word, how we get fed, it's not always going to be there. They'll probably, Netflix, all the mothers, they'll probably have all that running like crazy. That is not going to be option of not getting that. But the other ways, other paths of getting to this word, put the time in. Put the time in. Again, is it like, oh, I always got to be in the scriptures and that's all this church wants us to? Nah. The time you put into the Most High in our thoughts is what it takes. Some men, we all look at our time and our schedules because we're hard, and we look at how we fit things in and how we work our week, or how we even work our day, and how much time we even have. It's a decision. Sisters, it's a decision. It's a decision. If you find yourself in a position, sisters, when you're rattled, or you can't think clearly, or your day's not going well, or oh man, I started, this is what happened, and sisters are detailed. They're gonna tell it like it is, the whole details of how the day went. Where was the Most High when you look at the details? Where did you talk to Him and spend time to get to the shot? What's the details on that? Look at it. Look at it. They'll give you clarity. Akim, the brothers, we're always like, well, I read and this and that. Okay. Did you read to understand, or just read to obey? Did you read to get closer to Him? Because He knows. Well, I know, and it just becomes a sacrifice, like an animal. Back then we're just back spiritually doing it like that. I just need to read because, that's what's required of me. I'm reading to get closer to Him. I'm reading to understand Him better. That's what He wants. That's the righteous acts that He wants us to do too. So let's keep going to get His commentary. So,
there is no turning back for those who hope to obtain eternal life. There are no alternate ways into the kingdom. So dust yourself off and get back in the fight.
Always when we know we've fumbled out or whatever, get back up. We have an opportunity all the time. We have breath, we have an opportunity. Breath is an opportunity all the time. Because we know it comes quick. It comes quick. Every breath is an opportunity. So let's move on. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 3. 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 3. Recognizing what we're doing, recognizing, what we said we're going to do. And like I said, it's a learning walk. It's a learning agreement that we have. Why? Because the world has so blind. All you're doing is pulling the veil back. Everything that we thought in the world, we're just pulling it away. We're just pulling it away. Let's get us in.
2 Thessalonians chapter 1, starting at verse 3. We are bound to thank the Most High always for you, brethren, as it is meet, because that your faith groweth exceedingly, and the charity of every one of you all toward each other aboundeth, so that we ourselves glory in you in the church of the Most High for your patience and faith in all your persecutions and tribulations that ye endure, which is the manifest token of the righteous judgment of the Most High, that ye may be counted worthy of the kingdom of the Most High, for which ye also suffer, seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you, and to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Lord Yeshua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels, in flaming fire, taking vengeance of them that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yeshua Christ.
So, we're bound to thank the Most High always for you, brother, that is me. Because they're looking at the fruits. Not their fruits, the Most High's fruits. He's looking at the churches, how it grows. Paul was looking at the churches, it was fruits of the Most High. They were just the vessels. You would think, when Elder Ricard looks at how the church has grown and where we're at, he knows it's not his fruits. He knows it's the Most High. That's where all this came from. How Chicago's being held down, how Minnesota's being held down, how Indianapolis is being held down, how all the churches are being held down, because it's the Most High. It's his increase. It's his glory. That's how Paul's looking at it. That your faith groweth exceedingly, and the charity of every one of you all toward each other abounded, because of learning. It's just love. We love dwelling with Minnesota. We love, Indianapolis. We love when we have visitors here. It's different. So that we ourselves glory in you and the churches of the Most High for your patience and faith and all your persecutions and tribulations that you endure. If you don't think that the elders don't know about all the things that happen in the body and all the stuff we go through, they know. The Most High appointed men and women in this church to operate for His glory. So everything that goes down in this church is for His glory. So everything we go through together. Quite a bit of funerals last year. Quite a lot of pain, and we all went through it. All of us, in our hearts, the things that happened. But we endured together. 2 Timothy 1:5, which is the manifest token of the righteous judgment of the Most High, that ye may be counted worthy of the kingdom of the Most High, for which ye also suffer, seeing it is a righteous thing, but the Most High, the recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So that fury, our flesh, when we want to, let me just finish it. And to you our trouble rest with us when the Most High, when the Lord Yeshua shall be revealed from heaven with His mighty angels in a flaming fire, because that's what's on us. When we really think we want to do something to somebody, we think we got that, but He has flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yeshua Christ. And that flaming fire is like, man, it's in you. Like you just want to lay hands or say something or let it all out, and we're nowhere near how our God exacts vengeance. That's why He says vengeance is mine. And I remember in the beginning of the walk when I was learning this, I was like, man, because His vengeance, He touches generations. Like 5 generations away, Most High will touch somebody. That's His vengeance. All we can do is that one person. We're talking generations. And we think we could do something. We're not. That's why it's His. That's why it's His. So when you have that in you, that the Spirit's on you to do that, know that the Most High, Yeshua is coming, because in the flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yeshua Christ. And we got it easy right now. We got it easy. We're not even going through anything, what it is. We have it real easy. We're able to recover from a lot of things, all of us. And we got this body, this church. But as the scriptures say, or precepts say, that eventually things that are going to come in, we're going to know who is of the real, or who's going to be ready to be part of the church in Christ to endure. And it's just a part of it, and it's learning. So let's move on. Jeremiah chapter 38, verse 3.
Jeremiah 38:3. Thus said the Most High, this city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princes said unto the king, we beseech thee, let this man be put to death. But thus he wickedeth the hands of the men of war that remain in the city, in the hands of all the people, and speaking such words unto them. But this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. Verse 5. Then Zedekiah the king said, behold, he is in your hand. But the king is not he that can do anything against you. Then took they Jeremiah, cast him into the dungeon of Malchi, the son of Hamelech, that was in the court of the prison, and let down Jeremiah with cords. And in the dungeon there was no water, but mire. So Jeremiah sunk in the mire. Now when Ebed-melech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs, which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin.
Oh, let's get right there. So hold on right there. So who's going through this? Any of us going through all this filthy mud, pit, set, because we're out here and we're gonna be proclaiming the Father. This is what happened. This is our job, and that's what Jeremiah, the prophet, was doing his thing. And we proclaim it by our fruits and by our walk. We proclaim it by not handling how we could handle things, loud, obnoxious, not being respectful of the situation we're in, not understanding the wisdom of the Most High, to have it in order. And then that's enough to vex the world. He was screaming at the top of his voice, spare not. They were crying, there was cry out, they were sparing out. Again, and there's our own people. This is us. It'll be one of us saying, this is the way it needs to be, this is how we gotta operate, this is the way it is. Take that dude, get him out of here. We're having a good time, yo. This is not how we get it. It's not where it goes. We don't have nothing to do with him. Put him to the side. So now we got him here. So we're not going through any of this. We don't have this part that's on us. Do we get hurt? Do we have things that hurt us? Yes, we do. Do we have sorrows? Yes, we do. Are we going to cry with each other and cry about all things that happen? Yes, we will. But we're here. We have breath. Let's keep going in the story that was going on with Jeremiah.
Jeremiah 38:8. Ebed-melech went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, My lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon. He is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, and there is no more bread in the city. Then the king commanded Ebed-melech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he died. So Ebed-melech took the men with him, and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. And Ebed-melech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, Put now these old cast clouts and rotten rags under thine arms, under the cord. And Jeremiah did so. And they drew up Jeremiah with cords, and took him up out of the dungeon. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison.
And so, how you're getting saved, you may not like it either. Look what he had to do, how they had to take him out of that pit too. Filthy rags, filthy ways of pulling him from where he was at. It isn't just that, Most High just take this away from me. Well, it may take some time for those things to happen. But we wanted a nice, clean, easy way. Father may make these things happen. Well, you get pulled out of that pit, and you're pulled out of your chastisement, that mire that you're in, it's going to be how he does it. Because as soon as we get out, we quickly forget what we went through. It's real fast. If we was to pull him out and have him washed up and boom, right away this and that, and the flesh is like, yeah, that's my God, with that, and then next thing you know, just got a history of letting our flesh overcome us, and then Most High has to come back down on us again and bring that belt out and show us some things. So let's look at this commentary. So,
which one of us have been thrown in prison, yet, or a pit of filth, or speaking the word of the Most High in truth? We look at our small disagreements with our families over the truth as persecution. Yet how many would stay faithful like Jeremiah in the same circumstances?
Thinking about this fight, now we get to understand like all the pieces we get in, all the conditioning that we're in of getting up. Even though we've been walking, practicing the rights, so when your walk is changing, when you start evaluating year by year what's going on. Should you wait for a year to evaluate it, or do you do it that day when we pray? Or increase in faith, increase in things. That's the thing to learn too. Because the world says like it's a new year, and you can look back and see what you did in your year. But Yeshua says, enough evil in the day for today So spiritual walk is totally different from the world. How we evaluate what we did. What does it take? What would it take? What do you think it would take for a man, how we look at our thoughts of the day, how I operated, compared to a sister? She's going to have more details. You're going to be like, woke up, this, I was around so-and-so, it's not all a lot of details. So us, we're like, went to work, So we do have different thoughts and processes how we look at it, but we still have to look at it. While we wait for a year to look back at how our day went, or are we looking at that day? How we got taken out of what we were at and how the Most High had us. So Hebrews, let's move on, let's go to Hebrews and see how I'm doing on time. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 32.
Hebrews 11 and 32. What shall I more say? For the time would fail to tell of Gideon, and of Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets.
Some examples of what to look for, some examples of things they went through. This is why I always put this in here, so we can always have an understanding. We also have, obviously Yeshua is the ultimate, the wisdom, but he spread us abroad because a lot of us like to have a story time of understanding of history. That's how some of us, the Most High, if you think that he's not going to have a way for us to be judged correctly, some of us like to have the understanding through maps and understand geography and how it went through and Paul like that. I think the Hebrews there is the greatest thing the elder has for us to understand how we get it, but all the parts that are being taught through the academy, all these parts are what reaches and have us getting closer to the Most High. All the topics that are there. Is it just because the elders want to teach some topic? Nah. Because the Most High goes, they like to hear it like this. They come to me like this. They come through me like this. And they come through me like this. And then when they grow from that, then they're going to be able to go back to this other one and they'll grow to that. It's a walk. It's a walking step. So Hebrews, these men, with their lesson for us, let's keep going. Hebrews 11:33.
Who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword. Out of weakness were made strong.
Say that again, huh?
Out of weakness were made strong. Waxed valiant in fight. Turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. And others had trials of cruel mockings and scourgings, moreover, of bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented, of whom the world was not worthy, yet wandered in deserts, and in mountains, and in dens and caves of the earth. And these all, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise.
Let's look at the commentary. So,
many of us have air conditions, flat screens, fresh sneakers, fancy cell phones, and all the other conveniences Satan made readily available. Our forefathers lived in caves and in deserts, just to pursue the will of the Father, and never so much as complained of their conditions. We must be mindful and remember that one day we will be without them, and be thankful for what we have, and be patient, reflecting on the fact that your life is nowhere near as trying in patience as those who went before us.
So, it's something about when it said many of us have air conditions. When we were on Jeffrey, the beginning of this church, it was a real small room. It had air conditioners in the windows that didn't work. They worked when he wanted to. I'm trying to fix them. I'm trying to make them work. I'm here. We're going to get these things going. We had hardwood chairs to sit in. And the Most High has brought us to where we're at right now. We have 3 rooftop units. We have exhaust fans. We have cushioned seats. We have a separate room. We have this building, this area for us. Anytime we want it, it's ours now because we had to go in there. We were given a certain time. So the Most High does love us and He grows us. So, those that endure, it's going to be the same way. It's spiritual growth. The area that your spirit is in is going to grow towards the Most High. It will. You'll be there. And you're going to have better days and you're not going to have better days. It's going to be there. You're going to understand, man, how much time my thoughts did I give to the Most High compared to now? I did a lot yesterday, but today, whoa. Yeah, it was something else. I mean, we were in this room that grew, and then He kept moving us. How Chicago's been moved and moved and moved and moved, and it's like endure. Wherever we went, that's where we went. Whatever happened with the leadership, we kept going. Because we knew it was the Most High, the church, because it was already put on. Certain body members understand, like, it's the church that grows. And Bishop said, anybody that the Most High could have here will do it up here. He's going, we're not going to be without His love. It's always going to be here. He's got room for growth for this body, this church. But it goes through us. Everything that the Most High gives the increase to also. 4 deacons and 1 bishop at that time. And it took a while for us to increase back. Now we have a bishop again in Chicago and 2 deacons, praise the Most High. But you would think, like, is it Bishop Ariel's work? Is it Deacon Yahyar's work? Is it Deacon Zion's work? La'ah. It's the church's work why this happened. It's His glory. A lot of people in their flesh be looking at, Deacon Kohala too. It is nowhere near, because in our flesh we'll think at it, but like, those men, a lot of time, it's the church and the glory. It's His glory that makes us ready for it. So it's growth. So just grow, we got to grow spiritually. So this is going to happen, but things are going to happen. So we went from, what does he say in the commentary? Many of us, air conditioners, flat screens, fresh sneakers, fancy cell phones, and all the other convenience which Satan has made readily available. It's all going to be gone. On our forefathers, it says they were in caves and deserts just to pursue the will of the Father and never so much as complain of their conditions. We must be mindful and remember that one day we will be without them, and be thankful for what we have and be patient, reflecting on the fact that your life is nowhere near as trying in patience as those who went before us. And let the air conditioner shut off in here, and we'll see how it goes in here. Because we were in that room, we didn't have the heat too was hit or miss, and I was trying to get it going. Here, we have a little bit of room to try to get it set up and be comfortable. It was different. So, but we remember, there's a lot of growth, and it's your own growth too that's going to happen. It's a conditioning of your spirit. We're looking at all these things that are going to be gone. We're working right now, today, the Most High have us in air conditioning and conditions to learn about it. You didn't have that before. The forefathers didn't have that up. They were in caves in the outside. We were in tabernacles with all the mosquitoes. They had to deal with the rain. They had to deal with getting their food. They had to do all these things like that. That was back then. And here we are, like this. So it's a lot. That's why they put this in there so we can understand it's going to change. So, and we're being built for it. We're being built for it. So let's get a little something in 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 11, and talking about the things that we're going to go through and how do we deal with it. We're going to read it. Some of us may accept it more than others, but that's okay. That's okay. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verses 11 through 16, sir.
2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 11. And others that had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, been discovered to fill it, were burnt together, because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged of these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for the chastening of our nation. For it is a token of his great goodness, when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbear to punish, till they come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us, lest that, being come to the height of their sins, afterward he should take vengeance of us. And therefore he never withdraw his mercy from us. And though he punish us with adversity, yet doeth he never forsake his people.
So, what he's saying, if you can go back and read it again, but if we're not going to go through any of this, and we read it already, you're a bastard. We're bastards. People that don't go through what the Most High has for us. We can go look at it and we can read it, and I beseech thee, verse 12, that read this book, that they may not be discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. Because the Most High is the one that chose this nation. He's the one that picked us out and to have us here. It just comes with it. It just comes with it. And if we don't love you, then, he's your son. We're his. It's going to happen. Or as a token of his great goodness, when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, or forthwith punished. So when he does render those things happen right away, that's just his goodness. That's because he wants. It's his will. But we'll see other people, well, I can do whatever I want. Ain't nothing happening to me right now. Hey, you take advantage of this grace, the Most High has it. Or sometimes it happens right away. Because why? Because there's great goodness when wicked doers are not suffering all the time. You're getting it right now. Most times, now, you're getting it right now. We look back, oh. And it says, verse 14, for not as with other nations, whom the Most High patiently forbear to punish, because we're going to get it. Not like the other nations, we're going to get it. Till they come to the fullness of their sins, which is that with their understanding of what they've been doing, it's going to happen. So dealeth he with us. Israel, he's like, nah, I deal with you. I'm over you. You getting it right now. Don't worry about them. So if you why? Because it's his glory, because we're supposed to be showing forth him. That's our job. Our job is to show them. Their job is to learn from those he's chosen and be humble. And that's how God wants us to have it. Okay. So of course, if we're not doing this job, what he's going to do, like if you're doing some work and you're slacking at work, you think your boss is going to let you just chill down your phone? You're not going to be able. You can do whatever you want. You're working for a company, and you're 8 hours there, and you come in, and for 7 hours you just do whatever you want, go hide, walk around, whatever, and keep doing that, and it's going to be okay. That's not what you got hired to do. That's not what you got chosen. When we were chosen, this is totally different. It's a spiritual part of it. No. And then, on top of that, when people leave or they do like, man, I'm okay. It's like, I can still do whatever I want. You're literally firing yourself from your job from the Most High by taking off and walking away from the church. You literally fired yourself. This is a job that has nothing to do with temporal. It's all spiritual. You literally just left it. Does Most High fire some people? Yeah, he fires some people too. There's a situation where they get fired out of positions. But how he does it, he puts a spirit on or puts a thought in their mind that make them think like they're in their way that they need to go, and whatever it may be. So this thing's going to happen. Verse 16. And therefore he never withdraw his mercy from us. And though he punished with adversity, yet doeth he never forsake his people. Because we understand mercy differently, how the Most High, how we get it from him, it's love. And it's called tough love in the world. That's just the way it goes. Want to be master servant, want to be a reflection of the Most High, the greatest, get ready for everything that comes with it. All the hardships, all stuff like that, it just comes with it. Now can we look back at the forefathers that were in the caves or whatever, man, if they never would have fell off, we'd have been good. Easy to say. Easy to say, because why look back at the forefathers when we have right now breath now to do his will? That's another thing to understand. Like, look at the forefathers, man, if Eve never done that, we'd be straight. No, we could be straight right now with him now. Why are we busy looking at Eve and trying to blame it on, her and Adam and us? Well, we got time right now to get it right. Let's see what this commentary does, sir.
The Father will chastise us many times, so that when the real judgment comes, you will not be a part of even worse punishments, which are destined for those other nations who destroyed us.
Let's go to James really quickly. James chapter 5, verse 7.
James 5 and 7. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth, and had long patience for it, until he received the early and latter rain. Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Messiah draweth nigh. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth at the door. Take my brethren the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Messiah, that the Messiah is very pitiful and of tender mercy.
Just in verse 7. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Most High. Behold, the husbandman waiteth. So the husbandman, if you're going to take care of a garden or whatever, it's going to take some pruning, some cleaning, some pricking, some things are going to happen. So we're going to get pruned. We're going to get chastised. This is going to happen. So that what? Because we're precious fruit, and we got to do his work. It's going to happen. And hath long patience for it. It says that, and the husband waited for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it, until he received the early and latter rain. So our patience equal to the Most High patience, is it? For what we're trying to do? Let's get the commentary, sir.
Speaking of the patience of Job, let us take a look at an example of Job's faithfulness and patience.
So we're going to go to the Testament of Job. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, the Testament of Job, chapter 1, verse 9.
The Testament of Job, chapter 1. Testament of Job, verses 1 and 9. Okay. And when Satan saw that he could riot, put me to despair, he went and asked my body of the Messiah in order to afflict plague on me. For the evil one could not bear my patience.
What's that again? Get that again, sir.
For the evil one could not bear my patience.
You understand what kind of war that you're battling on when you have patience? He can't take it. He can't take it. Satan can't take it. Patience is warfare with him. Yep. Fruit of the Spirit. Yes, sir. That's what it is. And when Satan saw that he could not put me to despair, he went and asked my body of the Most High in order to inflict pain on me, for the evil one could not bear my patience. Let's go, sir.
Verse 2. Then the Messiah delivered me into his hands to use my body as he wanted, but he gave him no power over my soul. And he came to me as I was sitting on my throne, still mourning over my children. And he resembled a great hurricane, and turned over my throne, and threw me upon the ground. And I continued laying on the floor for 3 hours, and he smote me with a hard plague from the top of my head to the toes of my feet. And I left the city in great terror and woe, and sat down upon a dunghill, my body being being worm eaten. And I wet the earth with the moistures of my sore body. For matters flowed of my body, and many worms covered it. And when a single worm crept off my body, I put it back, saying, remain on the spot where you have been placed, till he who sent you will order you elsewhere. It is this way I endured for several years, sitting on a dunghill outside of the city, while being plague-stricken.
Job, that's what he went through. We ain't going through none of that. There's a lot there, quite a bit there. Yeah, he's sat in a dunghill, which is a pile of excrement from bodies or animals or whatever, because it's all just put there. It's a dunghill for several years. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, the dunghill, you guys may not know, from a third world country, it's like not many places have flushable toilets. So they have a latrine. So what it is, it's like a bathroom that you use outside. It's basically a hole with cement formed as a toilet. People squat on it to use it. And after a while, it fills up. And you do have these guys that you pay to come in and empty it out for you. And then they have to dump it somewhere. You know, God forbid, somebody dump it back in the river, which is terrible. But they go pour it out on a hill normally outside of the city. And some companies sometimes would set it on fire to burn it up, but for the most part, it's just outside of the city. And you will know when you drive by, like, okay, there's a dunghill over there. That's where Job went. And he suffered there many, many years. We didn't have to endure that. Go ahead.
So in your notes, we can move on. You can read 2nd Ezra chapter 13 through 24. Just keep that in your notes. And if you look at the lesson today from Bishop Amok, you'll be able to get it. He goes into it too, but it's talking about the no rapture, like who's left behind, and we learned that in the academy. So just so you know, 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verses 15 to 24. Well, let's get the commentary started.
There will be great perils to come. Those who are able to endure and stand through it all will be met with great reward, but understand it will come with great struggle. There is no pre-tribulation rapture or Israelite membership card that will get you into the kingdom.
And that's how the thinking is of the flesh. I'm good. I keep the Shabbat. I have all these things. There's just always more to learn. Just remember that there's always more to learn to serve. And there's always more that's going to be happening. But we take it one day at a time. Like Yeshua, the greatest wisdom like we could have, the wisest that was on the earth. Take it one day. Take today. There's enough evil for today. Don't dwell on past things that happened or bring them up. Let them go. Let them go. Because if you do, guess what? That weight that was talked about, that gets to sin, that's what that is. If you're keeping things from the past on you and you're holding them, that's what's slowing you down from growth. That's that sin that adds to it. Just let it go. You have to be able to understand it. And that takes growth too. Are we just saying it simply? Yeah. We can simply say it. It sounds nice, but let it go. It takes work to really, really, really say, I'm done with that. I'm really done with that. Whatever happened with so-and-so, however it happened, I can't apply that to you. Because the first thing a spirit and a mind, your mind would think like, oh man, somebody's been messing my stuff or something touched me. Isn't even like that. Satan likes to play games on people to make them think like this is the same thing that happened the last time. But patience, watch what happens and you don't fall for that one. When you have patience, you're like, let's just wait and see how this went down. It's totally different than what I thought it was going to be. And Satan's playing games. Oh, I got deja vu. I've seen this before. How are these thoughts of deja vu? Okay, now what? Pray and wait. The Most High showed me something. pray and wait. Be patient. Be patient. If it is His will, and we pray it, it will be done. Pray and wait. Prepare. Most of us look at this, I gotta be, well, okay, nobody didn't tell you not to be prepared for anything. There's a lot of things gonna happen. So we're getting down to the last couple of precepts. Yes, sir. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 6, verse 22.
Sirach 6 and 22. For wisdom is according to her name. She is not manifest unto many. Give ear, my son, receive my advice, and refuse not my counsel. And put thy feet into her feathers, and thy neck into her chain. Bow down thy shoulder, and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds. Come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power. Search and seek, she shall be made known unto thee. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go. For at the last shall find her rest, and that shall be turned to thy joy. Then shall her feathers be strong, a strong defense for thee, and her chain a robe of glory. For there is a golden ornament upon her, and her bands of purple lace. Thou shalt put her on as a robe of honor, and shalt put her about thee as a crown of joy. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. If thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise.
So yeah, it starts off where wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto many. Now, give ear. Here we go again with hearing and paying attention, right? Give ear, my son. Receive my advice and refuse not my counsel. And then it keeps going down, but then in verse 32, my son, if thou shalt be taught, because of all these other things that she will do for you, the other verses that come down, she's going to be strong, she's going to be there, she's going to watch, she's going to wait, she's going to be a glory for you, not for anybody else to see, because if we look at it as this glory is for that brother to see or that sister to see, that is not wisdom. The glory is the Most High. It's the unseen realm. But if you want to hold some glory to yourself, that has nothing to do with the Most High. You can't be praying that and then thinking that, because wisdom will not operate like that. So all the things we're going to go through, it's just not how it goes. You want to have yourself held up high, or just a lot of learning. It's just a lot of learning. Don't worry about it if you have, just getting this right now. That's how wisdom is. She's according to her name, she's not manifest unto many, but she is manifest to Israel, because that's the glory of the Most High. And it comes through the lessons and the spirit of the elders that will come. So hold on and have that. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. This is Sirach chapter 6, verse 32. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. So you have to just be patient and prudent. Prudent is a waiting, because the schoolmaster is teaching, Yeshaya. He's our author and our finisher. If you love to hear, verse 33, thou shalt receive understanding. Again, pay attention. So application, pay attention. So when you hear it, I don't have a problem with step-by-step instructions on how it goes. I don't have a problem with directly understanding it. Receive understanding. If thou bow down thine ear, thou shalt be wise. Humble. If you humble yourself, you shall be wise. And that's what the beginning of what he says in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. If my people shall humble themselves, it's great. This is a part of it. But we just have this prideful thing that the world says how we're supposed to operate, and not saying that anybody lives in this continuously. No, but it does rise up. No, we don't live in a continuously prideful situation, but we know now how to, I'm off right here. I got to slow down what I'm doing. You catch it. That's the wisdom. And that glory goes to him. And if you have to apologize or if you take a path to make that correct, get it right. But we're all going to go through things, and wisdom is there waiting to correct us. So let's see this commentary, sir. This is commentary, and one more precept, we should be good.
Learn to humble yourself and endure the Father's commandments and not give in. Your learning to be in order and humble will reap rewards. Learn to listen to the Father's words, and in trials let them be your comfort to help you make it through.
We don't have wiggle room, as we can see. The other nations have wiggle room. We don't. We like to try to have wiggle room. We try to find our thoughts. We try to say, what about this or what about that? He loves us, and he's going to chastise us. He's going to straighten us out. But either way, if you fall down, who's there to help you come up? Yeshua, right? And how is Yeshua operating? Through a church. By yourself at home, are you coming up? I just need to go through this gotta be a way. It's the church, and that's what helps. We always think like, oh, Yeshua's gonna help me. Well, yes, he is help. When you're on top of that housetop, when he tells you to leave and go, obey, right? And he says when the time comes at the end, well, it's obeying. That's a hard thing to do, but it takes the church to make it happen. He set up the church for this to happen. Not, well, I've been praying at home, waiting for you to help me, and where you at, Father? Where you at, Yeshua? This church's been set up, and it just takes time. Are there going to be things, health? We're all going to get illnesses and sick and not be here and have this, this assembly not be able to get here. But if we're not assembling under his church as Christ, be prepared for the chastening that comes with it. And then, when you start thinking in your mind, well, I do make it to the Shabbats, and I do all this time, and I am, okay, now it's time to level up and become stronger for him. And get more prudent, and have things pruned and become a better fruit for him. And you're like, man, well, you know what? The logic is, because it's the mind, right? Our mind, that's a hard thing because we're serving the creator of all. And his son came to show us how to get it done. And that's all in your mind. That's where the changing comes to. So yeah, get up. And yeah, fight again. And don't quit. So listen to see. 2 Timothy, this last scripture, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1.
2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1. Thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Yeshua. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yeshua Christ. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. And if any man also, and if a man also strive for masteries, yet he is not crowned except he strive lawfully.
So Timothy is being instructed by Paul on how and what to say and what to do, right? He says, now therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is Christ Yeshua. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach also others, right? So there's an order in the church. When he mentions the men, it starts there. It doesn't mean that there's no sisters involved. It's just that if you read the precepts, you know where you'll fall in line. Help the church. Just because you read these precepts and he's addressing it to Timothy like that, that don't mean the sisters got no job. They got a job too. Thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Yeshua. 2 Timothy 2:2. And the things thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also, because it takes the whole church and the sisters all to teach this. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yeshua Christ, because the sisters bear the children that's going to come forward, that's going to go through all this. and you have your work. No man that warreth entangle himself with the affairs of this life. So if you have aspirations to do something else, if you've gone to school and you have, these thoughts about a CEO and having your own things, and it has nothing to do with the Most High, just knows those are the affairs of life. Does it say you can't have a CEO of your own company and do some works for this church? No, because you're helping the body. We have plenty of businesses that are in this church already, and a school that's beginning. For the church, it's a help. For the body, for the glory of the Most High. Are the elders building this church for their glory or for us? It's for the future, it's for the Most High that's coming through. That's what's coming through. No man that warreth entangle himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier, because it takes understanding. So if we want to please him, it takes a lot of this to get the understanding. And we're all growing, and we're all learning, and we all have different paths where we're at, and that's okay. But we're all in it. We're all in it. And if a man strive for mastery, so if you do want to do this and get it and understand it, yet is he not crowned, except he strive lawfully. So if you want to do it, it has to be done through the orders of Christ set her up lawfully, because it's a schoolmaster and made everything clearly with the law. It all came through from the beginning. So if you want to be a master at serving him, you want to have that, and that mastery that comes through, it ain't masters like that brother studies so much that he knows so much. No, it's always going to be the glory for the Most High. That's the masteries of it, because he knows what's in your heart. He knows that we ache and pain for him, that we ache and pain for each other, that we want to see that kingdom that's there. We have that. And that we know we've been blinded, and we know this veil's coming from our eyes when this church is going to go through. So let's get up and fight time. That's what the elders wanted this. So let's get this last commentary. So
never give up, never give in. This present world is finished, but the righteous will endure forever. Shabbat Shalom.
all right.